Hi there, thanks for joining me today. I have a flip through of a very sweet little journal that I recently finished. This is an old book. This book is from 1879, so it's very old and it's quite evident. The corners are worn and sometimes just completely missing. And I'm just one of those junk journal creators who happens to like that. So hopefully you do too. It seems to be a unique thing that some of us enjoy. It's just a pretty little book. The title of it is Sybil's Sacrifice, although the text of the book was several different stories and Sybil's, that's a tongue twister. Sybil's Sacrifice is one of the stories that was in it. There were a few. So I have used sari silk just to tie it closed. And let's take a look inside. I sealed the cover. I cleaned it as best I could. It was very grimy. It definitely had 140 plus years of grime on it. So I cleaned it as best I could without removing any of the dye on the book canvas. And then I sealed it. So that's that should be all nice and safe now and secure for another long time and for you to enjoy and write in. Now you'll notice right away this pretty little spine. There's some signature threads on it. These are faux signature threads. I just had fun. I was in the mood lately. Another journal I recently completed also has faux signature threads. I just couldn't resist. So they aren't actually holding the signatures in place. I did them onto the cover first because I wanted to be able to do a hidden hollow back spine, and you just can't do both. If you do this for your signatures, you won't have a hollow back spine. Your signatures will be attached right to the spine. So there's a choice to be made when you do that. The cover is so pretty. There's a little girl, and she seems to have a little goat with her, and she's putting a garland of flowers around it. And I loved the colors, the dark green and these golden yellows, and it just appealed to me so much. So what I did was I fortified the spine from the inside out so that you could still enjoy it and enjoy this little bit of embossing. But you're going to see as you go through, some of it is very evident of how old this book is. And if you're like me, you're quite okay with that. This doesn't bother me in the least, and in fact, it just makes me love this little book even more. I've used some lace in it because it's a pretty book and I thought it deserved to be even prettier. But I made sure I used flat lace because it's so tiny. We need to be able to make as much use of the space as possible, and frilly lace can bulk up a journal very quickly. So on the ends, there is a tiny little bit of lace you'll see at the head and foot. But there's also some tea-dyed cheesecloth adorning the end. And if I open it up, you'll see that it is a hidden hollow back spine. There's 3 signatures inside, and there's a total of 92 pages. But even with those 92 pages, I was able to fit in lots of little tuck spots, and there is tons of journaling space in this little girl. So 4 inches by almost 6 3/4, and then she's about a little bit bigger than 1/2 inch thick. The inside, I used scrapbook paper for the end papers. They just had plain end papers, and they were in really sad, mucky, grimy shape. So I thought she deserved beautiful, glorious end papers, and these colors went just perfectly with the theme of colors that are on the cover and in the colored illustration that was in the original text block. So this is original to the book. That must be Sybil in a very beautiful, colorful dress. So I made this into a Dutch door because I really wanted that to be the focal point when you open it, but I also wanted the original front page to be evident, because that's where you'll see that the original date of publication is 1879. This is a little fussy cut that I did from a Kate Greenaway book that I had. And behind the Dutch door, it is also a little tuck spot. So I'm going to hang on to this, I think, just in case we come across any more tuck spots that I haven't put anything into, and then when we're done, I'll put it back there. So there's laces along the edges. I just ran this tiny little delicate lace along the first page. The paper was falling apart. So I was really only able to use the opening page, because I wanted it so badly, by affixing it to some tea-dyed paper and gluing it down and really securing that. Thank goodness the date of publication was on the front of it, so I didn't have to worry about covering that up. And I really like how this turned out. I think it turned out really, really pretty. And then I've used some beautiful golden colored grass paper. And then on the ends here are just a pale yellow lace with some vintage silk ribbon along here. And I even took the time to dovetail the little ends of this ribbon. And I did sew them on. So you'll see throughout the book, I still managed to do some sewing in this book, even though I tried my best to keep it simple. This is the original front page, and again, I fortified it by gluing it together with another page so that it, I'm pretty sure, yeah, I did. I have to remind myself, I made it a while ago. I lost a tooth and I had a sick grandchild, so I'm sort of catching up on things here. But I just wanted it to be a pretty little book. I used some purposefully grunged up masking tape here to fortify this spine, and I wanted the title to be evident right there, and I loved these little etchings that were on some of the chapters. And there's a little pocket here that I had saved from some fussy cutting I've done, so I put some tea-dyed paper in there. On this sheet of music, I've been saving it for, well, a few months now, because it has God Save the King on it. And I thought that that was rather appropriate now that there's a new king on the throne across the ocean. And they're back to singing God Save the King. I mean, my whole life here in Canada, I grew up singing God Save the Queen. It just always was that way. So that's taking some getting used to for me. This is from a book from 1912, so I've written it down in the corner here in pencil. You can erase that if you don't like it there. This is just some fabric of some botanical fabric I have, and I sewed it onto some of the offcut of this scrapbook paper, and I put the Two Nanas bookmark in there, and but you can put it wherever you like. That flips out. There's lots of tea-dyed paper in here, a little tea-dyed Beatrix Potter paper out of, I think that's Miss Moffat. And then what I did, so that there's a little continuity and a little play on your eyes. What is that? Trompe l'oeil. With the faux stitching that I did here, I sewed in the signatures into the hidden hollow back spine using the same threads, which normally I don't usually do. I usually just use a plain cotton thread. So I think that's kind of fun. So it kind of makes you think, oh, did she or didn't she? Yes, Miss Moppet. I thought so. I used quite a few fussy cuts from a Kate Greenaway book that I have. So this is a fussy cut from Kate Greenaway, and I thought her colors again were appropriate with the dark green and the golden yellows. I thought she fit in quite nicely. And this is an original etching from the original text block. I made a tag out of one of the pages of the book, and it also has a pocket in it, and the little pocket goes onto both sides because it was long, so I just wrapped it around, and that is also from Kate Greenaway, and it's got a yellow Rolodex card that I tea-dyed, and so I added some fussy cuts in there, and you can put those fussy cuts anywhere you want in the book if that's what you'd like. And I sewed around the edge and just added a bit of this beautiful golden sari silk that you'll see throughout the book, and that is also what I used to tie it. And then I found this little piece of golden colored ribbon, so I added it to the end of this rusty paper clip. All the materials that I used in this journal, as with most of my journals, are from repurposed sources, whether it's from thrift stores or antique shops or yard sales or Happy Mail or Happy Gifts, or just simply found items. I really like my junk journals to be a classic junk journal made out of someone else's junk and make it pretty again. So again, more lace here, and I liked trimming it with that pretty little tiny flower laces and some sewing there. These threads are long, but they've been knotted, so if you don't like them long, you can trim them really close and take them away. This is from an old Bible from the book of Ecclesiastes. I believe I wrote the date of this Bible on the other side. Here's a little tuck spot that needs something in it with a Kate Greenaway little tuck spot from the book, and it's on a page from a 1940 Pittman text, Pittman shorthand text. Some stenographer's paper. It was a little too long, so I just folded it over because I love those circles, the punch holes. Another Kate Greenaway tuck spot, and another tag that I had fun making, which is rare for me. I'm not a huge tag maker. But I had fun with these. And this was from one of the stories called The Brave Daughter. So I did a bit of collaging. I had these flowers that fit in with the color theme. This beautiful lady here who's holding a bouquet, she's from a book I have from 1888. And then there's just a little faux stamp. And I sewed it on and backed it again with a little piece of sari silk behind it. And then there's room for journaling on the back. So I just tucked that there for now. You can put it wherever you like. This map is from although it says a different date up there, it's from a 1922 Dutch atlas that I have. This is the other side of the steno paper. Again, too long, so I simply folded it so that it fit. And I put a copper paper clip there. There's a little vellum envelope here, and I've put a few again of some of the Kate Greenaway fussy cuts, the tiny little dainty ones, because it's just a tiny little dainty book, and you can use those as you please. Lots of room for journaling again. No, I didn't put the date for this tiny little Bible. I'm going to look right now. It's 1922. I knew it was pretty old, so it's over 100 years old. I'm going to write it down here very lightly. You can erase it if you like. More tea-dyed paper, more of the straw paper, grass paper that I've sewn on lace. I added a little gold pin here with some of this beautiful golden ribbon, and again I take apart necklaces that I find at thrift stores and just make little sparkly dangles for the journals that I create. This is just an old postcard. I don't know how old it is, but it is a genuine antique postcard. This one is not faux, which I have been known to do, but this one's the real deal. This is from the same little Bible, so I'm going to write 1922 down here as well. This was a fun little book to make. It was time for me to make a pretty book. I hadn't done a pretty journal, well, since Christmas time, but a regular pretty book. With the yellow theme going on, I thought, why not? So I used a little bit of old cloth measuring tape that I have, and I've got it held there with glue first, but then also with an eyelet, so you can hang something through there if you wish. This is from an old book from 1961 that I was gifted, and again a little tuck spot there, so I have to go through and put a few more little, let's move you over, that way these little ladies can stay and play, and you can go in there for now. And again, the Kate Greenaway. She pops up in several places in this little sweetheart. This is French composition paper that was gifted to me from a friend. And again, you'll see the golden embroidery floss, the twisted floss, that was used to sew the signatures in. More Kate Greenaway as a tuck spot, and just some tea-dyed from an address book. And it tips out from that old book. And the other side from the Beatrix Potter. Another fussy cut from Kate Greenaway. More tea-dyed paper, and again, just loads of room. Isn't it incredible? 90, what did I say? 92 pages, but lots of room. I didn't take up too much of the space. I made another little tag from a picture that I saved from another book, but I backed it so that you can journal on it. And another little Kate Greenaway tuck spot. And that's the end from the text block, the original text block. In order to make these end papers work, I had to cut the scrapbook paper in various shapes and sizes, and because of that, forcing my brain to be creative, I ended up having to make, I made a little tuck spot out of one part of it because I wanted this beautiful side of these flowers here. And if you can look, ignore the text block, you'll see this is the other side of this. And then this is actually the flip side of this sheet of paper because it was double-sided. And then I fussy cut. There was another red, it looks like a poppy to me, I think. Not sure. I'm not a flower aficionado. This was some of the original end papers. Old paper, it just wanted to crack, but I thought that could still be glued down and used somewhere. So I tucked it there. Let's take one of them and tuck it back here because that's a tuck spot. Right there. We'll put it there for now. Now, in addition to this cute little book, I have included several pages from the original text block with a lot of the illustrations that were in the book. So you can have fun with those if you wish. There was a very sweet salutation on the original I'm having a brain cramp. The end papers, you know what I mean. It says presented to, it says Easter Patapiece, and I did find her in Ancestry. She lived in my area. This date says December 23rd, 1879, by her teacher, John Ludlow. But her name was actually Esther. Her teacher spelled her name wrong, and I suspect she corrected him herself on the other side. And again, I find that my gut tells me if you're having a stupor of thought over what to do with something, sometimes that means simply send it along and let the new owner decide what they would like to do with it. So I've simply included that in with these papers. There was an extra first page. You can see how grimy. Obviously this book was beloved and read many times because it's very grimy. But it's coming along for the fun because those things can still be used and still make great stuff. And then I just thought this little, her name, Petipierce, reminded me of Petty Point, so I thought, oh, I'll just include this because it's got greens and yellows and it's rather appropriate. So this will go along with it, with Sybil to her new home. I forgot to point out to you, I made no attempt to try and give this journal a new corner of this edge. I just loved it. I think that when you're 1879, you deserve every battle wound you've got. So I simply made a bit of an adjustment with some leftover of the book cloth and made it look a little nicer. But I think that looks fantastic. And it's the kind of thing I enjoy. So this sweet little journal, 92 pages, but still lots of room for writing in, will be available in my Etsy shop. The link will be listed down below, probably in about an hour. I'll write down for sure the exact time in the comments down below, so you should be able to go look right now and you'll be able to see what time for sure. But I find Etsy's website, please remember to keep refreshing your page if you are interested in taking a look at it over on Etsy. You've got to refresh your page because Etsy's website for some reason doesn't do an automatic refresher if I have uploaded something. You need to do that yourself. So that's just a little reminder to do that. So thank you for joining me for this flip through of this pretty little journal. It's such a nice size, would fit in a purse, would just travel about easily, and I think could make a nice little journal for writing memories in, or writing favorite quotes in, or perhaps favorite poems. Any number of things that this dainty little book could become the new home for. I hope to see you again very soon, and take care. Bye.